Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and welcome to StudyIQ, and I welcome you again in the daily news analysis. I'm a little bit late today because a lot of information was there, some technical information I had to search for that, and I am presenting here now. Let's start it. China's probe lands on far side of moon, sends images. You see China, it has done a tremendous work that on the dark side of the moon. What is the dark side or the far side? We see moon from earth, okay, then we only see one side of it. Always we see one face of it, the other one is always at the back. This happens because of the synchronous orbiting, synchronous rotation, okay. Earth is rotating and the moon is also rotating, so that's why always we see one side of the moon, and that is called tidal. Just a second, tidal log बोलते हैं इसको, tidally logged this thing is, so that is the reason. And in that side, this dark side, China has sent its fourth Chang'e lunar probe satellite there, okay, and it was a soft landing. What is the soft landing here? You see, when any spaceship that lands on any surface, then there are two ways: whether it collide with the surface or it throw a thrust from the bottom of it, and it will balance the weight of it, and very smoothly and very in a balanced way it will land very softly on the ground. So this is the soft landing, and this has been possible on the dark surface of the moon, okay. You see, this is earth, this is moon, this side we always see, this is the dark side. So here near the south pole it has landed it. Now you see there is going to be a relay satellite, Kugya satellite. What is the relay satellite? Relay satellite means it is going to connect something. So this will take information from the rover here, and the information will come to this particular Kugya satellite, and from this satellite this will reach up to China's Sichuan area, okay, so where this observatory and control agency is. So this is going to be the relay satellite here. So rover will move on the surface, and the lander landed this probe, and this is going to be the connection between that. This is the south pole lunar. South pole lunar means related with the moon. Solar or helio means related with the sun, and this is the thing. Now see, this is the real picture of these surface of the moon. We see these pits and all. These are called craters on the moon surface. Normally we see on the moon surface these hollow structures, okay. These are craters, okay. They are done by the hitting of these comets or any kind of celestial bodies. They are directly hitting because there is no atmosphere around the moon, so they cannot block these particles from hitting the surface. That's why they create these craters, okay. Now see, as I told you, moon is tidally locked to the earth, and it is a synchronous rotation. That's the thing. Now dark side is never visible to us. Moon is astronomical body. They may ask you a lot of details regarding moon because a lot of things are going on with the moon. We are also sending Chandrayaan 2 this year in 2019 in the month of February or March, and it is going to be the second probe from our side. First we sent Chandrayaan 1 in 2008, and it did a tremendous discovery of the water ice under the surface of the moon. So this was the India's credit. Now Chandrayaan 2 we are saying, so moon is an astronomical body that orbits the planet earth. You see, orbit means earth is at the center and it is orbiting it. The way earth is orbiting sun, it is the sun, okay, and the combined system is also revolving around the sun. So there are two things. One is revolution around some body, and one is rotation on its axis. So earth and moon both are rotating on their respective axes, and they are revolving around the sun also, and it's a permanent natural satellite, only satellite for earth, okay. Only earth is only having one satellite, natural satellite I'm talking about, not the artificial ones. The fifth largest natural satellite in the solar system, fifth largest by the size, and if we compare it with the respective mass of the planet, okay, because it is earth's moon. All planets are having their moons except the Mars one, okay. So with Saturn and the other Jovian planet, that is the Jupiter. Okay, they are having huge numbers of satellites. Okay, so their respective size is very small, but moon size with respect to Earth is not that much small. So with that comparison, it is the largest among planetary satellites. Okay, and it's a primary orbit. So moon is after Jupiter's satellite Io. Io is the satellite of Jupiter. Okay, Io is the most densest satellite in the solar system, and moon is the second densest satellite in the solar system. And always remember, Earth is the densest planet in the solar system. Okay, as I told you in the Hindi lesson also, this is Sun, this is Mars, this is Venus, this is Earth, this is Mars. Sorry, this is Mercury. I'm making mistake here. I'm calling Mercury Mars. This is Mercury, Venus. Mercury is not having any satellite. Okay, so Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, these are terrestrial or inner planets. 4 inner planets, they are having terrestrial surface. Okay, and their size is very small, and Earth is having maximum density. And after that, asteroid belt is there. After that, 4 Jovian planets are there. These are bigger planets. Okay, the Saturn is having the ring around it, and they all planets, these all 4 Jovian planets, they are having rings around it, but the Saturn rings are mostly visible. Okay, these two are called gas giants, Jupiter and Saturn, and these two are called ice giants, Uranus and Neptune. Okay, Uranus and Neptune. And after that, Pluto is no more a planet, it's a dwarf planet. And after that, the Kuiper belt and all these areas come. Now see, Jupiter is the biggest one among all of them, and Sun is having the maximum volume of the solar system. More than 90% weight is of Sun only. And the moon thought to have formed about 4.5 billion years ago. That means it was after the Earth. Earth's age is 4.6 billion years ago. And a planet like Theia, with Mars-sized body, maybe it was not a planet. Okay, Theia, it hit the planet Earth. That time the moon, it got separated when it was broken as a piece from the Earth only, and that's why moon rocks, and these are very, very important for us because they carry the original rocks where Earth was formed in the starting. Okay, and they carry a lot of evidences, maybe the origin of life and all these evidences they have, and that's why we are sending a lot of probes to check these materials on the asteroids, comets and all, where we are collecting samples. You must have heard about the Rosetta mission, the 67P comet and all. Where on every place we are trying to figure this out, that is there any kind of evidence of origin of life, because in those asteroids, planets, apart from the Earth, there is no weathering. On the Earth it is weathering because weather phenomena are here. Okay, they are working consistently on the surface. That's why these superficial rocks, they are somewhat changed. Okay, but the composition is not changed for the other solar bodies. So that's why they may carry a lot of evidences of the origin of life and the origin of a solar system and the planets, stars and everything like that. So that's the thing. So Theia was the Mars-sized body that hit Earth's surface. After that, moon was formed, and these all are theories. These are not evidences, these are theories, and this is the real picture, and I explained to you. Now one important thing you see here, the L2 L1, what is that? Before that, I would tell you, after the sun, the moon is the second brightest regularly visible celestial object in the Earth's sky. It is not talking about the night sky. In the night sky, moon would be the brightest, but overall sun is the brightest, which is appeared regularly. Now Chang'e 4 is a Chinese lunar exploration. Chang'e 4, that is the series from China for the lunar exploration program. Chang'e 3, it reached on the moon in 2013, and now in 19 the Chang'e 4 reached. Okay, and a communication relay satellite, because I told you there is lander, there is rover. Rover means a moving cart. Lander means it is going to support the landing only. Okay, it is going to be the first spacecraft to soft land on the far side of the moon. Now these are the creators, as I told you. Chang'e 3 was the first Chinese landing on the moon. First Chinese landing. It was in 2013 only. Okay, so that's the thing. And next, some upgradations were done for the Chang'e 4. Now these points L3, L4, L1, L2, L5, these are the just a second, Lagrange points. Okay, Lagrange points. Now see what are Lagrange points for the moving system of three bodies. You see two are bigger bodies and moon is the smaller body here. They all are having their respective gravities, and bigger the body, bigger the gravity would be. So sun's gravity is working, earth's gravity is working, moon's gravity is also working. On the earth's water bodies, moon's gravity is working more because moon is very close to earth. It is only 15 lakh kilometers, and the distance between sun and the earth is around 15 crore kilometers. Okay, 150 million kilometers. So that's the thing. So that's why the gravity of moon is working more on the oceans of us. But here we are talking about the Lagrange points. What are these points? These are the points where the respective gravities, they balance each other. If both gravities are working with respect to the moon, okay, if moon is there in between and earth's gravity and sun's gravity, they both are balanced at some points, so those would be the Lagrange points. And you see, when moving bodies, for the moving bodies, centrifugal force is taking them away from the orbit, and centripetal force would bring them towards center. So when they both are balanced, then body is consistently moving in an orbit. Okay, this happens. So when these both are settled, then these points are Lagrange points. Suppose the moon is here, so the sun's and earth's gravity, that would balance out here, and these, for this point where this centrifugal force would be equalized with the centripetal force, then it would be a Lagrange point. So these are 5 points actually. Okay, they would be respective to their position in the orbit, and it is totally dependent on the distance, mass, gravity, all these things. So Lagrange point, they may ask you. Lunar 2 was the first unmanned Soviet probe which made a hard landing on September 14, 1959. It was the first man-made object, and first man-made object who photographed the dark side, it was Lunar 3 in 59 only. Okay, now see, this is the picture where it is showing through the waves of gravitational waves and all, I think. So L4, L3, L5 Lagrange points. Okay, always remember them. You see here how this is the tidally locked. Always we see this side of the moon because we both are moving, and it is the situation here. Moon is in synchronous rotation with the earth. Rotation is always on the axis. Okay, and revolution is around something. Chandrayaan 2 is India's second lunar exploration mission after Chandrayaan 1. Chandrayaan 1 was in 2008, and we explored water ice there, and that time rover was not there. This time rover would be there, means a moving cart would be there. The way you see it with the Mars, the NASA cart is moving there. Okay, since 2012, and it is taking pictures, selfies, always there. It is sending pictures to earth. So this kind of rover would be there. It will be moving on the surface of the moon, and orbiter and lander, they will be working now. Now Manzinus and Sympalius, these two are big craters, and between them this would be a landing of this Chandrayaan 2. This would be the situation. Okay, and they may ask you a question that they are related to which? Mars, Earth, Sun, or Jupiter, or Pluto, or something like that. So answer would be moon. And you must have heard about the question of Olympus Mons. That is the highest mountain in the solar system, that is in the Mars. So that's the thing. And Chandrayaan 2 would be the first ever mission to land a rover near the lunar south pole. Okay, it has been possible till now to land any spaceship on the south pole of the moon, because the way our planet has north pole and south pole, the moon is also having these south pole and north poles. Okay, next news is regarding the real estate regulatory authority. It is demanding the judicial powers, the way it has the way Consumer Protection Act gives to consumer courts. Okay, these are courts, and first class judicial magistrate powers are there with these bodies, and they may investigate, they may demand documents and all, and they may give verdicts like court, and for any kind of compensation or something like that, it is possible for them because they are having judicial powers. But it is not there with the real estate regulatory authorities, and they are demanding it the way Consumer Protection Act gives. Okay, they say that it would not be possible for us to execute our actions without these powers, these judicial powers, this should be given to us. Okay, so that's the thing. It would we will be toothless without judicial powers, so it is demanding that. And we all know that this sector is under immense pressure after demonetization exercise, and consumers and a lot of controversies are going on that they are not able to give the booked accommodations and all, and the constructions are not completed. So a lot of issues are going on with the real estate sector. Next, regarding the Tejas, light combat aircraft, okay, that we indigenously developed. HAL Tejas, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. It is the same Tejas which is discussed under the Rafale issue, where the contract was taken from HAL and it was given to Reliance. So HAL Tejas is Indian single seat, single jet engine, multi-role light fighter designed by ADA and HAL, Aeronautics Development Agency, and HAL. Okay, and for Indian Air Force and Navy both. For both it is given. It is single seater. Always remember this. Now it came from the Light Combat Aircraft program, which began in 1980s to replace India's aging MiG-21 fighters, which we took from the USSR. Okay, so LCA was officially named Tejas in 2003. Tejas. Okay, and this issue is going on for the 18 years now. The first prototype testing happened in 2001. Okay, and clearance will hasten supply to the Indian Air Force around 2020. So around 20 years it took, and there are two clearances: initial operation clearances and final operation clearances. But only after final operation clearances it would be able to use in the battlefield. So that's the thing, that there are a lot of accreditations are going on. The way sometimes they put some restrictions, they put some condition, the Air Force people, and sometime Navy authorities, they put some condition that it is not according to us, it is heavier, and sometimes these Air Force and all, they say that it is not suitable for our condition, it is not good for single engine flight and all, and it is not able to take some missiles and all. So a lot of upgradations are going on for the last 20 years, and the proposal, the idea started in 80s only with the starting phases of HAL. Okay, so at that time it started, but we have been having a important need for this light combat aircraft since 80s, but it is not possible till now. So that's the thing. And ADA agency is in Bengaluru, and HAL is also in Bengaluru. So both these things are there, and there are different datas always, but when this will be finally inducted, okay, then only the final data will come. Before that, a lot of changes are going on, but the main thing is that it is light combat aircraft and developed by this. Next is a news, but important information is given in that. It is the issue of vote on account, because it is the election year and there will be voting. So government is planning to bring the full-fledged budget, but normally it doesn't happen, because in the election year vote on account is normally taken, or the interim budget is taken. Okay, because they don't know that they would return to the power or not, and their policies would be suitable for the next government or not. So that's why normally they go with the vote on account and the interim budget. And what are these concepts now? Now see, basic concept is executive, that is government needs approval for legislature for spending. They need spending, and all money is in their consolidated fund of India, that is under article 266. Okay, so if any money they want to take out of it, then they need to appropriate this money. They need to bring an appropriation bill, and demand for grants and all these things would be there, and discussion would follow, voting would follow, and then it would be passed. And this is the same process. The budget passes when the final financial act that is completed after the 2-month process. So out of 12 months, 2 months are used in the passing of financial act when the budget is completed. Okay, so what about these 2 months? These 2 months government would need money. From where this would be given? So for 2 months, around 1/6 of the total year's budget, it is given to the government for the day-to-day spending, and that is called vote on account. Okay, vote on account. And without appropriation, you see, they cannot take money out of the consolidated fund of India. Article 267 is for the contingency fund of India. But if we take any money from the contingency fund of India, then also we have to take money out of consolidated fund of India, and for that we need to appropriate that money, and then we will submit it into 267 articles contingency fund, because the money is fixed in the contingency fund. Okay, so every time we take money out of the consolidated fund of India, it is appropriated. Okay, without appropriation we cannot take it. So that's the thing. So in article 1143 it is given that without appropriation you cannot take money from this. But vote on account, normally without discussion, it is this money is given to the government, and mainly in the election year where elections are there in the month of May, I think May or April or May, then dates are not decided yet. But for this period, it will be around 2 months to 3 months. So for that time, vote on account can be brought. Okay. One other thing that is discussed always, that is interim budget. What is interim budget? Interim budget is full-fledged budget only, but any policy announcements are not done and made by government during the last year of its term always. Okay, just before election. So if government is bringing any budget, so it would be an interim budget. Any policy announcements can be there, because they will be cancelled out and it will be a problem for the next government or the total procedure. So that's why that's the thing. So there are two options for the last year of the government: interim budget or the vote on account. And there is no condition that vote on account would be only for 2 months. It may be for 3 months, 4 months, whatever time is taken by the procedure. Okay, during the election year, but these things happen. Okay, it is not mandatory for the government to present a vote on account. It is not mandatory for the government to bring vote on account or interim budget in the last year. They may bring full-fledged budget, but normally it is not taken. And vote on account is a grant in advance in a way, and to enable the government to carry out until the voting of demands for grants and the passing of the appropriation bill and finance bill is completed. Okay, so that's the thing. Everything is given here. For the PDFs, you see a lot of people were asking me to zoom this out. I cannot zoom it. It's a VPT presentation. So or it is done, then I don't know about that. But the PDF would be given to you. PDF, join the StudyIQ Telegram channel or join my Facebook page. There is a Facebook group called Amit Sani IAS Preparation Group. Okay, there I upload all these PDFs and all daily, so you can get all these clean and appropriate PDFs for the lessons, for the PIB analysis and for the DNA, the newspaper analysis, both. Okay. Next is the recovery of the 70,000 crore rupees from the big IBC cases. IBC means Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, that was brought in 2016, and in 2013 Companies Act came, and under this Companies Act NCLTs were established. National Company Law Tribunal was established. Okay, this was the main authority which is dealing with all these arbitration, compromises, change of management and all, winding up the companies. So this is the main tribunal, and tribunal, these are specific codes. Okay, so these are for the companies, the way administrative tribunals are there for the administrative services, and military tribunals are there for the military. So it is the company law tribunal. Okay, so it's a very important body and it deals with all these things. A lot of things are going on with the banking sector. NPAs, investments are blocked, and the twin balance sheet problem is going on. Companies are not able to take loans. The banks are not able to give them loans because they don't have lending capacity and they are under PCA framework. So a lot of things are going on, and the companies which failed, they are being liquidated under these insolvency and bankruptcy codes and all. So here the NCERT work is very, very important, highly important. These are not constitutional bodies. These were established under the Companies Act 2013. Okay, so they may ask a question regarding that. And next is that they are expecting to recover this much money out of it, so that whatever money that is stuck in the failed company, that would be liquidated and that money would be returned to the banks, the companies which are not able to repay their loans because they are totally a failure. So that's how banks are going to get their some money back, not whole money, some money back. So it is the main aim in the IBC framework. Now NCERT has the power under the Companies Act to adjudicate regarding these company law board issues and board of industrial and financial reconstruction, which are the issues which are pending before BIFR. BIFR is now dissolved body. Okay, it is not no more working. Present government dissolved it, but it was recognizing the sick industries and all, and it was making a plan for them, their liquidation and all, but it was not working efficiently. That's why it was dissolved. And now the bankruptcy code and all, and the Benami transaction, all these things are new initiatives by these government to strengthen the situation of banks and the companies and all. Okay, so that's the thing. Now, some issues which are pending before the appellate authority for industrial and financial reconstruction, regarding that also NCERT can it can deal with these situations. Now the decisions of the NCERT may be appealed to the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. So this would be the appellate tribunal against the verdict of NCERT. And if any person is still not satisfied, then it can move straight to the Supreme Court, not even High Court. It can go straight to the Supreme Court against the verdicts of the appellate tribunal for the NCL. Okay. Next news is regarding the startups. Some important and small information was there inside that startups are not a big success after this startup scheme started 2-3 years back, and there was some problem regarding the angel investor, angel taxes. What are these? Angel investors are the people who are giving money to the startup businesses in the starting, because big investment they need, and banks are not in a condition to give loans to these risk weighted startups. They may fail easily, because most of them they fail, and very less are highly successful. So that's why the credit from these banks and all, it's not always possible for startups. So that's why some family member or some friend or something, some other person, they may give this capital amount to these startups so that they can start their businesses. It's totally based on their trust, their confidence on the startup, and that person is called as angel investor. As you see in the picture here, he is taken as an angel because he is giving money, he or she is giving money to these people who are starting their startups, and the tax which is taken on the angel investment, that is angel tax. Now see about the editorials. Hope with concerns in 2019. A lot of issues are discussed in this article. C. Rangarajan was the former economic advisor to the government, and he's a very experienced person, very respected person, and he has put light on all the important issues of this year and the issues which are going on, where we need to focus, where we need to improve, and all. He is saying a lot of things, and these are going to be very, very important from the prelims, mains, and interview point of view. Okay, now he said India's growth rate in 18-19 is forecast at 7.4% by the RBI, but it is not totally possible because the actual rate is 7.2 to 7.5%, somewhere between this range. Okay, and that's why he says that it looks to be a touch and go situation. Even though the goods and service tax has stabilized, much will depend on the pickup in the investment rate. So that's the reality. GST is now settled now after 1.5 years, and the collection is also good, but not up to the expectation. They had expected more than 1 lakh crore rupees per month, but till now the average is 96,000 crore rupees for the last 8 months. So that the news we discussed yesterday, and some other situations which are going on internationally and nationally, and those are putting a big context who are actually defining the situation economically for the whole world and how our economy is affected by that. So he's talking about all the dimension. Now we will discuss that. He's saying that globally the growth rate in 2018 was high, particularly in the United States. Growth rate was high in this year, and this was the best year after 2008 for USA. But for whole world, this has not been a great success after 2008. Only growth, whatever that was started 2-3 years back, and that is also around 2-3-4% of the world GDP growth. So it is not a very great situation internationally, and that's why we are also affected by that. We are very much involved in the world scenario, world trade issues, world in these investments and all these economic situations, their particular setup, we are involved in that. So that's why we are also very much affected by the international situation. The way rupee is going down, so there also we are much affected, and strong signs of a trade war are also going on. You see the trade wars between China and USA, the devaluation of the Chinese currency, and a lot of these things are going on. The sanctions, economic sanctions, and the higher tariffs rates, and all these things are going on. That's how they are making situations not very good. Okay, they are hampering some way the international trade and the international overall situation. That is not beneficial for our economy. So that's the thing. And Britain is also passing through the pangs of separation from the Brexit is going on for the 2, 3, 4 years now, and they are not able to settle this thing down. Domestically also, with the first quarter of this fiscal year, growth rate was high. Okay, but after that they could not balance it. After that the growth rate went down, and the rupee underwent a severe shock as crude prices rose and abated after a fall in oil prices, because it is mandatory for us to import the oil, and we are not able to keep this thing in control. And that is why the forex reserves are also in pressure, because we need to make payments out of it. And when prices fell, agrarian distress accentuated. So agrarian distress is ever going, and the suicides and all these things are also going as they were going 2, 3, 4 years back. And these things are totally continuing, and the stress is not removed. Recently we saw that for the 750 kilo onions, some farmer got 1000 rupees, and somewhere people, the farmers, they threw all their tomatoes and other vegetables on the road, because they were only getting less than 1 rupee per kg. So these things are going on, but as a consumer we never get all these vegetables below 20, 30, 40, 50 rupees per kg, but they are getting 1 rupee to 2 rupee or maybe less than 1 rupee per kg. So that's the stress, extreme stress that is going on. That's why loan waivers are a reality today, and loan waivers have become very, very necessary in this scenario, where it is the matter of survival of these people, and these are the feeders to the nation, but they are under tremendous pressure, and a lot of issues are there. Actually, we are going to discuss those also. First, the investment ratio, where the writer is putting light on. In the final analysis, the growth rate depends on the investment rate and the productivity of capital, or its inverse incremental capital output ratio. You see, as I told you, growth rate is low, investment is very low, banks are not able to give loans, so private investment and public investment both are blocked for the companies manufacturing. So how it can get a boost? It is not able to get a boost because investment is very low, and when investment is low, then output is low. And one more thing we need to improve, that we need to improve the capital output ratio. What is this? A frequently used tool that explains the relationship between level of investment made in the economy and the consequent increase in GDP's capital output ratio. Means whatever investment we do, that should be converted into output. Okay, so it's a relationship between the value of capital and value of output. For ensuring a sustained high growth, we need to raise the investment ratio and keep the incremental capital output ratio at 4. How? I would explain it with an example. You see, suppose the investment in an economy, investment is 32% of the GDP. Okay, investment out of GDP 32%, and the growth we got is 8%. So this would be investment which is proportional to 8% growth, that would become 32 by 8, 4. So that is the main recommendation here, that the incremental capital output ratio at 4 we need to keep for the sustained growth for the longer term. Okay, so that should be the investment ratio here. And but there is one important thing, that it is not only for 1 year. When we invest, we may invest in capital assets, and more we should invest in infrastructure and capital assets, so that these things will give production for the many years. The way, if we for example, if we invest in machines, so for next 10, 12, 13, 15 years they will be giving us production and the output. So that is going to be very much beneficial. So investment is very much needed today, but that is only blocked. And as I told you, one issue was crowding out effect. What was that? When in this election scenario, when welfare schemes are announced, so government is going to expand a lot. Okay, they are going to spend much more money, and it would be needed from their side. They will need money, extra money, so they will borrow it from the market. They will release government securities, bonds and all, and people are going to buy them. So they are going to withdraw money from the market to finance their populist schemes. So at that time, what is going to happen? This money should have been gone to private sector investment, but private sector is now crowded out by government, because that money is taken by government, because they are going to give higher returns on the bonds to the people. So people are going to give money to the government instead of any kind of private investment. Okay, so this is how the public funding and private funding both are blocked for the capital investment in the private sector or the manufacturing sector. So this is also a problem, big problem this year. Now gross fixed capital formation ratio has fallen from 35.8% in 2007 to 28.5% in 17. In 10 years, it fell around 7% capital formation ratio. So it's a great danger. And now animal spirits must be revived, means risk taking measures and very courageous measures, very courageous policy decisions should be taken so that this thing is revived. Otherwise it would not be possible to raise this issue. And the tranquil political and economic environment needs to be nurtured, means apathy should not be there. There should be courage, there should be policy making, there should be innovation, out of the box thinking is extremely needed here. So it is the issue of investment. Next thing is banking system, where 11 public sector banks are under prompt corrective action, PCA, means they are in a way they are in ICU. Okay, you may take this thing like that. They are not able to give loans, their lending capacity is very low, and recapitalization is needed, otherwise they are going to fail. They are going through tremendous pressure, because more than 16.7% are the NPAs for the public sector banks. So if this goes continuously, then they are totally out of their income, because their income is totally based on assets. What are the assets? Assets are the big loans that they give to corporate houses and the normal people. Okay, but they earn bigger interests in corporate loans. So that's why when they are not able to repay their loans, so banks income is totally blocked, and this is how banks are going to fail if this thing continues. And after that, privatization moves, mergers, all these things will go, and this is how there are allegations that maybe these things are done intentionally. And the recapitalization issue, that is also very much controversial. When banks are going through a tremendous pressure, NPAs are there, they have given big loans to corporate companies and they are a failure, and now they are flying away out of the country, taking their not paying their loans, 11,000 crores, 15,000 crores, 30,000 crore rupees loans they are not paying back, and that money is given to banks by government. How? With the way of recapitalization. That money is taxpayers' money, and that money is given to banks. So it's a kind of a vicious cycle. And if governments are very much honest, suppose this thing, governments are honest, all these corporate house, these people are very much honest, but still they face heat, and their businesses are not going very good, and demand is low, and they are not able to repay their loans. Then if we do recapitalization, then it is understandable, and it is going to be a trouble in the economy. But some allegations, if they are somewhere true, then it's a great trouble for the normal people also, because this is the taxpayers' money, and if they are taking loans and they are not giving any collaterals, and their particular infrastructure, their assets and all these are not liquidated again, and they are not auctioned, and the banks are not getting their money back, then certainly banks will need recapitalization, and taxpayers' money will be invested in that. So that's the thing. And you see, banks are too big to fail an organization, because if banks fail, then the trust erodes for the public, and this is all about the trust, because people are putting their hard-earned money into banks. So if that trust fails, then certainly it is going to be a huge problem for the economy, and people are hardly going to believe banks, and then the trust is gone, then market is gone. That's the thing. So these are too big to fail institutions. So that's why recapitalization is needed. Now see, NBFCs are also going through a lot of pressure, because most of the NBFCs are taking loans from banks only, and banks are under extreme pressure. Banks are not able to lend. So that's the thing with the NBFCs. They are also going with problem. Next is the issue of employment. Employment issue is also very, very huge, because you see, it's a general what I must say, it's a clear-cut situation where the solid employment is not out there. Okay, maybe some organized sector is giving some employment, but unorganized sector growth is very, very low. And then the writer is saying there are two ways that employment can be generated. One way is to increase investment in manufacturing companies and all these to you solidify the economy, and that's how the way employment is going to be generated. That is going to be a very good employment, okay, and that is needed in India today, because we are having huge amount of huge number of youth, the demographic dividend we are talking everywhere, and if these people are not employed, these people are not skilled, then certainly it is going to be demographic drag. This dividend will convert into drag, okay, so that's the situation. You see, one way is to invest, second way, whatever the existing capacity is there, okay, that growth is caused by improved efficiency of utilization of existing capital only. But what's going to happen, it is not very much effective in employment generation. Some marginal employment is only going to rise with this method, so it can lead only to a marginal increase in employment, and much of the growth seen in the last few years in the employment sector is of the latter variety. Means this variety means investment is blocked, the main employment giving scenario is blocked, okay, their investment is not coming, and the issue of capacity, the issue of the real manufacturing, the real growth in the economy is not there, and that's why not permanent employment and the solid employment is not there. Organized employment, where all these social security schemes and all these are given to these employees and all, so that kind of employment is missing in the economy, and marginal employment is rising. That's the problem. So we need to invest in the first method. Next, the increase in employment seen in the period between 4 to 9-10 was because of the rapid growth of the information technology, IT, and the financial sectors. You see, the major share in the GDP was of the service sector, and that is declining in the last 10 years, especially after the 2010 time, okay, and IT sector was the greatest employment giver at that time, but that is not giving much employment right now, and you see more and more youth are preparing for the government competition examinations and all, because the IT sector and all these sectors are not giving much of the employment the way they were giving packages 10 years back. So that is the situation. You can have the evidence of this exam only, where 1500 vacancies used to be there every year, but now it has come to 750 vacancies last year, and I don't know about the next notification of the UPSC examination. So these things are going on. We all know the situation of SSC and the state examination, what is going on. In 5 years they are hardly giving jobs to PCS aspirants one time, two times. So this situation is going on because it's a huge trouble, okay. And next thing is external sector, that is also not very much fine, and we are growth is not seen in the export sector, and we are importing more than we are exporting. So that's why our current account deficit is also not very much, we can say, good, okay. We need to manage it, because current account deficit should not be very high. It creates a lot of pressure, and strong growth is in exports is must if we have to keep the current account deficit at manageable level. But if we will import more and export less, then certainly it is going to be a failed idea. BOP crisis would follow, and we will need to drain our forex reserves for these payments. So that's why it is a problem, and we are affected by the international situations, the trade wars which are going on, which are hampering the world progress, trade progress, and we are also getting the heat of it, and our export growth is not very much high. So that's why that we need to improve, and all these things are there. Now, agrarian distress, that is the biggest trouble, and the main issues of the loan waiver. These are the best short-term solutions, but not long-term solutions. Long-term solutions are we need to improve the situation of the average size of the land holding. Corporate farming is the main idea, but that is also not possible, because the farmers will not be willing to give their lands for the corporate farming and all. So it should be management from the government and the farmers side. They should sit together, and they should bring some ways that how this average land holding is increased, and how technological advancement integration is done in the farming sector and the markets and the government procurement, this process is out of corruption, and that's how farmers are getting their payment for these crops and all, and we are also getting these vegetables and all these raw materials from the farms with a lesser price. Because you see, when I gave you the example of onion, when 2 rupees a farmer is getting and we are getting them 40 rupees per kg, then 38 rupees difference is a huge difference. Okay, so this should come very down, and government can do a lot, because government, if is going to be very serious about this situation, and if they are going to manage the situation in an efficient way, they will curb on the corruption issue, because the highest level of corruption are seen in these mandis and all, anaj mandis and all. So that's the situation with it, and if this comes down, then market will also improve. Today what happens, government is not able to procure the crops, and the farmers, they are bound to move towards market directly, and there they are not getting their price, so they also manipulate, they also take advantage of their poor situation. So that's the thing. If government is going to bring great positive and working executable steps, then certainly market is also automatically it will be balanced. Okay, it will become efficient and it will support the farmers situation. So in all the aims for doubling the farmers income and employment generation in the additional sectors, and bringing people out of the agricultural sector and bring skill them and take them to the manufacturing sector, that is the ultimate need. So all these things would happen, then only the situation would improve for the farmers. Otherwise it is going to be a huge problem, and when farming is, or the agricultural sector is going to fail consistently, then certainly manufacturing sector is also going to be certainly fail, because raw materials are coming from there only. So that's the thing. And now I would conclude the article. Now MCQs we would see here. We discussed these 5 points importantly, which were given by the writers. MCQ, please try to answer them in the comment section, and I think you people know, you can search for the answers. These are simple questions, so I did not discuss today these questions. Mains answer writing, these are 2 important questions. Please write them, very crucial issues. And thanks a lot, keep watching. It was Amit Sani. Any kind of issue is there, then put on the comments, and that's all. Thanks.